Cat with a sixth sense is drawing national attention again. It appears Oscar has a unique ability for predicting when patients at a Providence nursing home are in the final hours of life. Valpito has the story.
A sniff of a patient's hand is not an indicator of Oscar's unique ability. Like 5 other cats, the 2-year-old roams free here on the 3rd floor of Steerhouse Nursing Home. But unlike the others, or even the doctors.
He's been involved with the last 25 deaths we had on the unit.
She's the head nurse for 2 years, watching as Oscar makes his daily rounds, visiting every room. But he curls up, just like this, only on the beds of patients who are a couple of hours from passing.
And he will only go and stay with patients that are about to die. He will leave rooms, for example, when patients are not close, even though we might perceive them to be close.
How accurate has he been?
Unbelievably so.
Not everyone wants Oscar in their loved one's rooms, but listen to what happens when the door is closed on a patient who's about to die.
And Oscar will frantically pace outside the closed door, which that is really something to see.
And I believe that animals do have a sixth sense.
Dr. Dosa, who wrote the essay that sent this otherwise shy cat into the public eye, believes there could be a scientific reason for this otherwise unexplainable bedside manner.
Whether it's a pheromone or a scent that people release, that's really a question for people in different fields than mine.
For The Roadshow, Walt Buteau, Eyewitness News.
Well, now Oscar even has a book about him. Joining me this morning is the author of Making Rounds with Oscar, The Extraordinary Gift of an Ordinary Cat. He's Dr. David Dosa. Thanks for being here this morning.
Hi, how are you?
Dr. Dosa, I have to ask, are you a cat person or is it just this cat that you are so enthralled with?
Well, I'm becoming more of a cat person. I didn't start out as a cat person, admittedly. I had a cat, or my grandparents had a cat growing up that kind of traumatized me. Growing up, used to hiss and sort of claw at me as I tried to come up the stairs. So it took me a little while to get over my fear of cats.
Well, certainly you have, because you're an assistant professor at Brown, a doctor, and this is the first your first attempt at being an author. And the book is really interesting because even though it's nonfiction, it reads like fiction, which is one of my favorite kinds of books to read. But what was it about Oscar that made you think, I'm going to put pen to paper here and I'm going to write about this cat?
Well, I thought initially it was a fascinating story. The idea that this cat would have the ability to sort of tell when somebody was about to pass was something that caught my eye eventually. I wasn't the first to come up with it, but certainly as it percolated up to me, I thought, this is really something that I'd love to put to paper.
Well, in fact, Oscar's been right in about 50 patients. Has he ever been wrong, or...?
There have been a couple occasions over time where he's either been off the floor. There have been a couple patients who've asked us not to have him, on the floor. So
people are aware when they come to the nursing home.
Oh yeah, and my real worry, actually, after the 2007 publicity, that there would be a mass exodus from the nursing home. But actually, the reverse has happened. And as part of this book, I went and I actually talked with family members who had Oscar there at the end of life. And the universal theme has always been that he's been a source of great, companionship and compassion, really.
Because certainly you don't think that Oscar is causing these deaths, but rather that he is simply sensing that loss of life is near.
He's absolutely not causing the deaths, and it's one of those things that these patients on the floor, unfortunately, are all very sick. They all have end-stage forms of dementia, and most of them can't walk or communicate. So we know, unfortunately, that they are terminal. But Oscar being there is definitely a form of companionship at the end for them. What
is your hunch, just lastly, as to how he's able to do this, how he has this gift, as you call it?
Well, I think that he's probably smelling something, whether it's a pheromone or a smell that's emitted. It's really hard to know. Certainly behaviorally, there's also an element of that he's patterning the wonderful behavior of the staff at this nursing home. But in the end, there have been times where he's been the first to know, and that's really a remarkable thing.
Dr. David Dosa is the author. Thanks for being on the show this morning.
You.
And Making Rounds with Oscar is the book. It's available now. Still to come on The Roadshow.